A warm welcome to you this hot Sunday afternoon. This is Second Chances and I am Hilaria Asumu. So it's so good to have your company again as we share this hour together. So last week we stepped into a really important space, didn't we? We talked about mental health in African Caribbean communities, breaking the silence and supporting living donation recipients. We've heard how vital it is to acknowledge the emotional and psychological journey, not just for the person receiving that incredible gift of life, but also for their families, their support networks. The overwhelming message, the message was one of courage, the need for open conversations, and also the strength we find when we truly see and support, one another. So the conversation about support and understanding got me thinking about the foundations of trust, especially when it comes to our health, our bodies, and the choices we make around something as significant as living donation. So today I want to take you on a slightly different, more personal reflection. It's a chance for me to share some thoughts that have been circling and really perhaps for you to reflect alongside me. So I'm calling this one the doctor's office and my grandmother's warning. So why trust us still feels like a loaded phrase. So, it's funny the things that stick with you from childhood. I was thinking about my grandmother just the other day, a strong woman, sharp as a tack with a heart as big as, our evening dinners when we go to the village. And she had these, I call them pearls of cautious wisdom, especially when it comes to officialdom, in quotes, and particularly doctors and hospitals. I can still hear a voice that slight dip in tone, that knowing look she would give me over, when she's drinking a plate of gari. She loves that. And she would say, Hilaria Asumu. She says that, and I like the way she calls me. I like to listen to her when she talks, and she tells me to listen to what the doctors tell me, and to remember that not all that glitters is gold. So basically telling me that you must listen. It's not every newfangled idea that comes out that works. So, in Africa, we put our doctors on a pedestal, and we think that, they are the best thing since sliced bread. And we take it, we bring it over to the UK or to the West with us. And she made me start to really think about, going to the doctors, being honest, saying it exactly the way it is, and ensuring that we give all the information that we need to. So I tended to, when I go to the doctors, to listen to what they have to say. In fact, keep my wits around me and talk to them and find out, ask questions. And that is why, when I'm talking and people are asking, how do you know all this? I look at them and I say, because I ask questions. You always have to ask questions. And now, here I am all these years later. Even when I was a transplant patient, I used to ask those questions. I wanted to know more. I wanted to dig deeper. Anything the doctors say, this is what we're going to do, I ask why. And then they explain, and I go, why again? And, I tend to ask them to break it down into bite-sized information, something, I can understand and digest or reflect on later. And, years later, I understand the incredible strides that medicine has made. Living donation, the act of giving a kidney, a part of a liver to someone in need. It's a modern marvel, a testament to human generosity and scientific brilliance. All those people working, researching, all those researchers, and I did join them because I thought that I wanted to give back. I wanted to find out a lot of things for my community, to find out how we can help each other, to find out how we can help those patients, those people that are reluctant to come to the hospital or approach their GPs until it is too late to do anything, and they have to move you on to the hospital under the secondary care rather than from the GP. And it's organ donation or living donation offers second chances, real tangible hope where sometimes there is very little. Because I waited for 10 years. I actually thought I wasn't going to make it. So I started teaching my children how to look after themselves. And yet, when I find myself in a clinical setting, when a doctor, however kind, however well-meaning, looks at me and says, "You can trust us," there's still that little flicker and a tiny, almost imperceptible hesitation deep inside me, even if I know that it is for my own good. And I think sometimes it might be my grandmother. That advice is still ringing in my head. I don't know. That ancestral memory that's passed down, not necessarily in anger, it's just, it's a kind of protection, trying to protect you as a child. A shield forged from experiences, from stories heard, from a history that taught our people to be wary. It makes me wonder how deeply that goes, or how deeply down that well of caution runs, and how much of that fear, that innate skepticism, still sits with us, shaping our decisions, even when faced with life-altering choices like becoming a living donor or encouraging a loved one to consider it. It's not a simple yes or no, is it? It's tangled up in so much more. And this isn't about rejecting help, but about the journey to truly believing in the hand that is offered. We're going to take a short musical break. And the voice you will hear is the incredible Asa. I've been playing her for a little bit. This is one of the extraordinary Nigerian singer-songwriter, Asa. Her music often has this beautiful, soulful quality, a blend of strength and vulnerability, a storytelling that feels ancestral in a way. It often feels like it carries the weight of stories of profound emotion. This track is called Jailer, and as you listen, think about those invisible bonds. Think about the lyrics as you listen, not literally perhaps, but about the idea of unseen constraints, of histories that can sometimes hold us captive, even when we're trying to move forward. The way history can sometimes hold us, even when we yearn for freedom and trust. We'll reflect on that when we come back. This is Asa with Jailer, and I'll see you back here in a bit. in chains, you are in chains too. The powerful words of Asa. Welcome back to Second Chances. That song, Jailer, it makes you think, doesn't it, about the less visible shackles, not just physical ones, but the chains of memory, of inherited experience. And this is the truth. A lot of us, the reason we are resistant to becoming organ donors are stories from others that are passed down or passed across from somebody who's had a bad experience, and the person is coming to the community to say something about what they've gone through. And, you know, that just continues to spread around the community. And we have all these, you know, resistance to supporting. But, you know, it's not the white man, it is not the system that we are destroying or killing, it's ourselves. Ourselves. Because as you know, if you don't step forward or step up to be an organ donor, to be a living donor, it's we the community, people from our community who are going to suffer. So when you think about it, and, you know, you're approached to say, you know, would you be an organ donor? You say no. That impacts on us, on our children, your father, your mother, my brother, my sister, my cousin, you know, our families. So when my grandmother's warnings, when she wasn't just speaking, she wasn't just speaking from a vacuum. She was passing on information that she got long ago from, you know, when she was young, as it was passed down. Children learn through tacit knowledge. So she was channeling a deep-seated mistrust that had roots, very real roots, in the history of medical treatment experienced by Black people. And we know those stories. We don't even have to dig too deep to find stories that fuel this. Think about the shadows of unethical experiments that have come to light over the decades. Studies where Black bodies were exploited, not healed. Think of Henrietta Lacks, whose cells were taken without her consent and became instrumental in countless medical breakthroughs, while our own family remained unaware for years. These aren't ancient fables, they are documented realities. And even beyond those stark examples, there's the everyday experience of disparities in care. Inequality is a more popular word, of not being listened to, of symptoms being dismissed, a pattern that sadly research still bears out in some instances even today, right here in the UK. These things create a narrative, a collective memory within our community that whispers, be careful, be vigilant. And we all say it. Let's not sugarcoat it. We all say it. So when we in the Black community approach the medical system, particularly with something as profound as organ donation, where you are literally really placing your life or a part of your body in someone else's hands, it's not just an individual decision. We carry that historical burden, that ancestral caution. It's almost cellular, that feeling of needing to protect yourself, to question, to look beyond the surface. It means that the starting line for building trust is often further back for us. And understanding that, truly understanding that, is important for everybody involved in healthcare. Let's pause for another piece of music. This is from an artist who often blends poetry with powerful melodies, Brymo. This track is called Ara, which can translate to wonder or marvel, but also has a sense of something profound and unfolding. As you listen, please reflect on the marvel of the human body, the wonder of connection, but also the intricate, sometimes mysterious journey towards trust. This is Brymo with Ara, and I'll see you back here in a little bit. Don't go away. invite more people to come and join you. I'll see you soon. Welcome back. That was Ara by Brimo. Such a unique sound. I hope you enjoyed that and you had time to reflect as well. That song makes you ponder, doesn't it? The wonder of life, but also the complexities we navigate. And that brings me back to that phrase, trust us. It's said with the best intentions. I truly believe that. Medical professionals dedicate their lives to healing. And for many in our community, those two words can feel like a chasm to cross rather than a bridge. So why is it so hard? Because trust isn't just given, it is earned. And when historical ledger carries so many deaths, so many instances where trust was betrayed, or at the very least, not fully honored. Earning it back is a slow, painstaking process. It's about feeling seen, truly seen, not as a statistic, not as a stereotype, but as an individual with a unique history, unique fears, and unique needs. Think about the vulnerability of being a patient. You're often unwell, anxious, when you're considering leaving donation, either as a donor or for a recipient in your family. That vulnerability is amplified tenfold. And I can tell you that when it was my turn to get a transplant, even discussing it with my family, I was worried what it was going to do to them. I was worried if they were going to be able to support, the idea of me going to the theater. As you all know, we all are scared of theaters, aren't we? Hospitals as a whole. I remember once when I had malaria and I had to go to the hospital, I had to be isolated. And I thought that if my husband walked out of the hospital, I would die. That is the fear we had of the hospital. And imagine going in for a transplant at 2 a.m. in the morning and you're not sure what's going to happen. And I think, perhaps my fear was sort of like a little bit minimized or eased because of the way the doctor who was going to operate on me, the surgeon, the way he kept coming back to explain what was happening. And this is what I do when I go speak to newly appointed doctors. I explain to them the fears, the thinking behind those questions we're asking, that bruskness, the brutal, or should I say the brisk tone of voice, or when they say the person is rude, it's not rudeness, it's fear. We are scared. We want to ask every question under the sun. But as I said in some of my previous sessions, no question is stupid. No question is silly, because you are right to, have those fears. This is something new. You've never done it before. And then suddenly they're asking you to come into the theater. They're going to cut you open whilst your eyes are closed, with all the stories you hear every day of, what happens to people from your community, even if sometimes those stories are Chinese whispers, but then they end up on the internet. It's fake news, it's all of those. And the reason that I am doing this is because I've been through every stage, from being diagnosed, waiting to be given a date, waiting for a transplant, going on dialysis, having different issues. I'm ending up in the hospital. I was prone to septicemia. I had 4 instances of septicemia after my transplant. And imagine the fear each time the ambulance comes to my house, or I go to the hospital and they're saying, oh, we have to keep you in. I hate the hospital, I still do, but it's a necessary evil. I have to go. And you as a patient, at that point in time, you're making decisions that have lifelong implications for you. The fear of the unknown, the fear of complications, the fear of not being fully informed or understood. Again, as you all know, our accents are part of us. And there is no way, no matter how we soften our voices, so that, our white counterparts will understand us, we still come across as sounding, very abrupt. But that is not our intention. So when these medical professionals are trying to understand us and they don't understand, and then they speak really fast, and you are struggling to understand them as well, there's a communication breakdown. And these are magnified when that foundational layer of historical trust is also thin. It's not that we believe every doctor today is like those from the history books or from the story that we hear. Of course not. But the system itself can feel impersonal. We're used to, people speaking to us and say, how you doing? Bele, how you day today? I hope you are feeling better. But the doctor just comes because they have so many patients to see, and there's no time to sit and talk to you. And that is why I always tell them when I go speak to newly appointed doctors that those first few minutes are crucial in an African Caribbean patient's experience. It's how you approach them, how you make them feel welcome, relaxed, and how you try to break down those medical jargon so that they understand it and their families understand it, and they try to listen and perhaps ask you to speak slowly so they can understand what you're saying. The institutional memory, the very corridors of hospitals can sometimes echo with those old anxieties, those warnings from our grandmothers, grandfathers, granduncles, those who've gone the system before. It's about feeling that the system itself is designed to protect and serve us equitably with cultural understanding and profound respect. These are my themes every time I have to go speak, whether at conferences, whether one-to-one with doctors, or I'm talking to nurses, you name it. I am always looking at ways to help the system understand us, because we have to build that trust. And it's a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight. They have to earn that trust back and keep working with us so that we can break down those barriers that stops both the system and the community from working together as one. And until that feeling is widespread and deeply rooted, trust us will continue to be a phrase that requires a very deep breath and a silent prayer. And that's for many of us. So let's listen to another piece of music. This time, it's one of my favorite artists, musicians from Nigeria. It's the unmistakable sound of Lagbaja, the masked maestro. This track is Never Far Away. It speaks to a yearning, a desire for connection, for reassurance. Perhaps it echoes that underlying hope that despite the barriers, trust and understanding are never truly out of reach. And believe me, it is never truly out of reach. So here is Lagbaja. I hope you enjoy it with his song, Never Far Away. It's going to take me right back to my early 20s and late teens when I was listening to Lagbaja. Have I outed myself there? I hope not. Okay then, I'll see you in a bit. Never Far Away by Lagbaja. Did you enjoy that? A beautiful sentiment. And it speaks to that human need for connection and reassurance we're just touching on. So welcome back. So where does this leave us? This heavy cloak of historical mistrust, these echoes of our people's, our grandmothers' warnings, sitting alongside the incredible life-affirming possibility of living donation. It's a profound dilemma, isn't it? On one hand, we see the desperate need. We know that people in our community are affected unfairly by conditions like kidney disease, diabetes, hypertension, all of which can lead to the need for an organ transplant. We know that finding a match can be harder for us due to the need for genetic compatibility. We all know that, the transplant can only work better if the person donating to us is from our own ethnic background. It doesn't mean that, you can't get somebody from the white community, the Asian, the Chinese, you name it. However, we need somebody from our own ethnic background who share the same physiology with us for that transplant to be successful. And we know that living donation offers a powerful pathway, a chance to give the gift of life, often with better outcomes. I just want to remember my friend in Hull. And I was watching her online the other day, and she was, doing all these exercises. And before she got the transplant, she was doing all these exercises. And I sent her a message and I said, you make me smile. And she does all the time. I hope that she's listening to me right now. I just want to bless you. And I want to thank you for giving patients everywhere who are thinking that, they don't have a chance, who are thinking that I can't do it. You're showing them that they can do it. And I get inspiration from you. I get inspiration from you. And I have started trying to see how to get myself back to where I was before. And that's because I look at you, you're much older than I am. But, when you get out there exercising with your friend, and believe me, it's funny, when you do your little antics, as well as the pantomime you put together. And I hope that people will reach out to you. I'm trying to get the information, but it's actually right behind my screen and I can't reach it. So if you want to call in, just before I close, if you want to call in very quickly, it's 0744 881 1570, and we'll pick your call so that you can talk a little bit about what you do. I hope you're listening to me, because that was what we said this morning. And back to what I was talking about, back to what we're talking about, living donation offering a powerful pathway. There's that voice, that's our grandmother's voice, our people's voices, the voice of history, the voice that urges caution, that asks the hard questions, that scrutinizes every assurance. It's an internal tug of war, wanting to embrace these medical miracles to help our loved ones to alleviate suffering, but also feeling that deep, almost primal need to protect ourselves, our families from potential harm, from systems that haven't always had our best interest at heart. So how do we bridge this chasm? Yes, it's a huge one, which we're still trying, not just within the healthcare sector, but across all the different areas, in all the different sectors of the system. How do we bridge it? What does it take to quieten those historical fears? Not by ignoring them, but by addressing them. How do we build a new kind of trust? One that acknowledges the past, but isn't imprisoned by it. It's not just about the doctors being trustworthy. It's about us, our community, feeling able to trust. It is a huge thing for us. But we have to remember, as I said before, if we don't do it, nobody else will. It's about transparency, about being heard, about culturally sensitive care, about seeing ourselves represented in the healthcare system. These aren't easy questions, and I don't have all the answers. But I believe that acknowledging the reality of this inherited caution, this historical weight, is the first most important step. It's understanding that when someone from our community hesitates, it's not necessarily a rejection of help, but a reflection of a journey, a history that needs to be seen and respected. And so, our time together on Second Chances draws to a close for this week. That's the thought I want to leave you with. The theme today, the doctor's office and my grandmother's warning, has really been about peeling back the layers on why that simple invitation to trust us can feel so profoundly complex for many within our African and Caribbean communities, especially when considering something as significant as living organ donation. It's a legacy of caution born from genuine historical experiences of medical mistrust, disparities in care, and a system that hasn't always felt like it was designed for us. This isn't about being resistant to progress or unwilling to engage with life-saving treatments. Far from it. It's about a deep-seated need for that trust to be rebuilt, acknowledged, and actively earned with every interaction, every policy, every consultation. Understanding these roots is very important if we are to create pathways to healing that truly feel safe, respectful, and accessible for everyone, every single one of us. It's a conversation that needs to continue in our homes, in our communities, and importantly, within the healthcare system itself. They're trying. I can tell you, they are trying. We have allies. We have people who genuinely, whether in the healthcare system, whether in the local government, whether on the streets, in the workplace, we have people who truly want to understand how they can build that trust. And when you meet them, you know the pretenders, you know the ones who are thinking that it is a tick box exercise, I'll just do it. And sometimes they say it to your face. But understanding these roots is important. This conversation has to continue, and I will come back with more. I will come back with a little bit more next time. But in that time, let's start thinking, let's start asking ourselves, how do we start building trust? How do we start building a community with the system? Let's start to forgive. Let's start to heal. And let's start to reach out so that we can help our community. Because without us, there is no us. So thank you for sharing your time and your thoughts with me today. I hope that everything that's been said today, everything I have said today, has resonated with you in some way. So join me next week on Second Chances, where we'll be exploring my body, my temple, my fear. Am I less whole if I donate? But until then, take good care of yourself and each other. I'm Hilaria Asumu with Second Chances on Radio Africana, and I'm going to play our last song for you. And here is Caesar, C-I-Z-A, if not C-A-E-Z-S-A-R, Caesar with Isaka. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Good night and God bless.